Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurum Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayan Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavanishware Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satphala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad-Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidvanto Ditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namastume Madekavando Matsangin Madguru Mam Mahadana Mam Nishtaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namastute Asadu Sadhu Tadayim Ati Nichochatakara Hana Muncha Kadachimam Premna Ritkanta Yaspura Kantara Srimad-Bhagavatam ki Jai. So welcome to the class. Just gonna stop sharing for a minute. So we're continuing with our study of Srimad-Bhagavatam. We're continuing with verse number 4. And so far we have covered the prelude of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which were, can anyone tell me briefly what is the essence of the prelude of the Srimad-Bhagavatam? You can also type it on the chat box if you want. Briefly, truth spoken concisely is true eloquency.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, please.
Prabhuji, I remember two words which you have said last class. Pra means complete. Ujjitaha indicates rejection, that we have to reject all other religions.
Okay, yeah, that was the Bhagavatam rejects all religions.
Then you also explained about Sambandha Jnana also.
Okay, these are isolated points, very important points, so it's appreciated. But I just want, if someone can explain to me what is the essence of the first 3 verses of the Bhagavatam, which acts as a prelude to the text.
Yeah,
if someone asks you how these 3 verses.
I remember, Prabhu.
Open.
Can I tell?
Yeah.
you said first verse is signifies the obeisances.
Okay.
And second verse is blessings from Lord and his devotees. Third verse is Vastu Nirdesha.
Say again, what is
Vastu
Vastu
Nirdesha.
Which
Vastu
one?
Nirdesha.
Which one is that one?
Third verse, Prabhu.
No.
That's what I had written. Sorry then.
No. Okay.
Third verse signifies Vastu Nirdesha.
First one is Vastu Nirdesha, actually.
Acha, okay. Then I'll correct it, Prabhuji.
That's okay. Good attempt. Is appreciated. Okay, so anyone else would like to have an attempt? Because we spent a long time doing this, so I was expecting like really clear. Pom. These 3 points. 3 points. You can just say like a few sentences. Okay. Someone tells you, Ananda Vardhana Prabhu, come on, I'm gonna put you on the spotlight. Tell us.
It's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prabhuji.
Okay. What
That's
else?
the
Okay. One. Let's see. Sri Narayan. Prabhu.
Prabhu, the 3 main elements of like Namaskar, Ashirvad, and Vastu Nivedanam. Is that the one you were trying to?
That's a bit of a cop-out because you know that this is the elements of the Mangalacharana. How are they found in the first 3 verses?
It shows the distinction.
No, wait. Let Sri Narayan, don't get him on the hook. How are these 3 found in the first 3 verses?
First one is the like our prayers, praying to the Supreme Lord and getting.
No, you said Vastu Nirdesh, Ashirvad, and Namaskar. How are they found in the first 3 verses?
Yeah. Ashirvad is seeking the blessings in the third one from Sukadeva Goswami, and Vastu is the first one where setting the context where we are seeking the understanding about the Supreme Lord in total. Like He is ultimate prime source. From that we start with understanding what is real and then what is like pretentious, like the other aspects.
Okay, it's good enough. It's getting better. Let's see. Prema Manjari, Mataji.
So the all 3 verses from the first till the third. The first verse is describing what is the subject of Srimad-Bhagavatam, and this is Shri Krishna. The second verse is describing the glories of Srimad-Bhagavatam, and the third, which is that it can remove all the sufferings, and is written by the greatest of the sages, Srila Vyasadeva, among others. And the third verse is describing
Prema Manjari, I'm sorry, I have to stop there because you're saying, okay, it's praising the Srimad-Bhagavatam, okay? And you're saying
this was the second
because it
verse.
removes miseries and because of being spoken by a great sage, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but is that the real uniqueness of the book?
No, it's not only that. There is more.
It's not only that. It's not the most important.
The most important is that it rejects all the cheating religion.
Okay, good. Okay, good. And propounds the highest truth.
Yes.
Not only Dharma Prohita Ketavo, Tra Paramor Nirmat Saranam Satam. In this book, the highest truth established. Okay? Good. Okay, and the third one? You were doing pretty good, actually. It's good explanation, but that is a very important point.
Yeah. And the third one is describing what is the goal of Srimad-Bhagavatam. And the goal is, of course, the rasa, the experience of the sweetness of one's relationship with Krishna.
Nice.
In prema, in love.
Good. Okay. I'm going to read a few points from the chat box. Okay, Bhagavatam is for change of heart. Okay, Shama Bhakti. 1, who is the absolute truth? 2, why Bhagavatam is special? 3, what is the goal of studying Bhagavatam? Paka, that's it. And you need to be able to, obviously explain that. But this is the prelude. Okay, very nice. Thank you. Patita Tarana Jagannath. Okay, defiance and offer obeisances, glory of Srimad-Bhagavatam, goal study in Bhagavatam. Very nice. Okay, it's simple, but we should have a very clear understanding of this. All right, so we're going to continue now with text number 4. And now, basically, the narrative moves into a description of when the Bhagavatam was spoken publicly at Naimisharanya. We know the Bhagavatam was spoken to by Vyasadeva to his son Shukadeva Goswami, and then Shukadeva Goswami in turn, he explained that same Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj at the bank of the Ganges. And at that point, during that recitation of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami was present, and much later, Sutta Goswami, along with the sages at Naimisharanya, they were performing a great 1,000-year sacrifice. That's what we're going to be seeing now. And the Bhagavatam was spoken for a third time. Okay? So this is the... actually, this first canto is very much an introduction to the Bhagavatam. Okay, we're gonna hear a lot about the history of the Bhagavatam, the events that led to the appearance of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, and the history of the speakers, the hearers, the qualities, the qualifications of the hearers and the speakers. It's a very, very important canto. Actually, Prabhupada, when he came with the first canto, right? He had the first canto, 3 volumes of the first canto, and Prabhupada actually, put all the philosophy of Krishna consciousness in this first canto. One reason, maybe, he didn't know he was going to be able to complete the work. But another reason also that this first canto is like, all the acharyas have commented extensively in these verses, on the first canto. So it's very, 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 very important. Okay, so we're moving on text number 4. So we will do, I will be reading, if you have the Bhagavatam with you, we will be reading, I won't have the verses on the PowerPoint. We'll refer to the PowerPoint here and there. But basically, yeah, if you have the Bhagavatam with you, we can just, I'll recite the verses. And by the way, these first 2 chapters are very beautiful. I mean, the whole Bhagavatam is very beautiful, but these 2 chapters, they are very nectarian, and I highly recommend you to memorize them, The verses are very important, the questions are very important, 2nd chapter particularly. The essence of all the Bhagavatam is there. Naimishe nimisakshetre rishaya sonakadaya satan swargaya lokaya sahasra samam asata. Once in a holy place in the forest of Naimisharanya, great sages headed by the sage Shonaka assembled to perform a great 1,000-year sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord and his devotees. So Prabhupada, is explaining here, actually, this was the 2nd time publicly, okay, that, the Bhagavatam was spoken to like a great assembly of devotees. And Prabhupada explains a little bit about the significance of Naimisharanya. Now, okay, let's put the PowerPoint. Let's see. So this place of Naimisharanya is particularly important because it says that it's a favorite place for Lord Vishnu. And Naimisha means, it means he who doesn't blink his eyes. Lord Vishnu doesn't close his eyes. And Naimisharanya is a favorite place for Lord Vishnu. It is explained also that when Brahma was creating the universe, he thought of the universe as a big wheel, of which the hub was this place at Naimisharanya. I mean, this place is very, very significant. And the principle that we derive here, are you able to see the screen now? Yeah, the PowerPoint. Okay. So the significance here is that we see that there is an important the place where we actually do our our recitation of Srimad-Bhagavatam, the place where we execute spiritual activities is very important. And the sages had assembled to perform a great 1,000-year sacrifice. And what was the purpose, the intention of this 1,000-year sacrifice? It is explained actually that by the time that they started with the Srimad-Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami, he had already recited the Puranas, the Mahabharata. So many books have been already spoken. But the purpose of the, their intention was to benefit the people. They are doing this for the welfare of the people in this age. In the Kali Yuga age, they could foresee that this age will cause degradation, and they are assembled there for the benefit of the people. And this is a very, very important point that we need to imbibe actually as members of the Krishna consciousness movement, that whenever we see the great sages assembled, they are always concerned for the welfare of the living entities. This is the characteristic of a person who is actually advanced spiritually. He has no selfish concerns. He's actually, his main concern is about how to actually help other people. And the sages, whenever we see any assembly of Vaishnava, of devotees in the Bhagavatam, the discussion is always around how to help the people in the Kali Yuga age. Okay, so brief overview of what's coming. So we're gonna hear about the place where the Bhagavatam was described, and then we're gonna hear about the qualifications of a representative of Vyasadeva. In this case, the sages are gonna glorify Sutta Goswami. And then there is a brief, very, at the same time, very complete description of the unfavorable circumstances in Kali Yuga. And then we're going to hear the 6 questions by the sages. Now, the answers to these questions, they come in chapter 2 and chapter 3, but actually the answers to these questions, they constitute the rest of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. We're going to hear, many questions and answers, and some of them, they're like in this case, they're answered immediately, but they constitute the theme of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. So it's very important that we understand these questions. Very important, in order for us also, and this is one of the benefits of doing this Bhakti-vaibhava course, because the Bhagavatam is a vast literature. It has 18,000 verses, so it's kind of, it's a large book. I mean, you see it on the shelf, and it's like, okay, this is something serious, big, a lot of verses, and a lot of the time we don't know. We pick up the book and we may not know actually what is with the sequence, what is how everything is organized, how there is a sequence, everything is in place. Every chapter is not placed randomly in the Bhagavatam. Every chapter is an answer to some question that has taken place previously. Every action is every situation, every circumstance is leading to something else, is leading to establish. Like, like I was saying in the first canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, many of the things that are coming, practically everything that is coming is just situations that led to Parikshit Maharaj being enthroned and the Bhagavatam being spoken by Shukadeva Goswami. Practically everything. We're hearing basically the history of the Bhagavatam. So when we have that context and that frame of reference, it enhances our appreciation of this book. It really, helps us to appreciate the intelligence, the talent, the skills of Vyasadeva, the beauty of this book, how everything is so nicely, orchestrated, so that we can understand and accept ultimately the absolute truth. It should act as a catalyst for our faith and conviction in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so this is verse 4 and 5. So now the translations. I'll read text number 5 also. Taikada tumunaya pratarhuta hutaknaya satkritam sutam asinam prapakshur idam adarat. One day, after finishing their morning duties by burning a sacrificial fire and offering a seat of steam to Srila Sutta Goswami, the great sages made inquiries with great respect about the following matters. So, okay, before I show you already, but then let's see. So there is two important considerations here for hearing the Shastra, okay? What are they according to these two verses? And one of them I already explained, I even put it on the slide. So what are the external considerations for hearing the Shastra? Okay, I'll give you a clue.
Shastra, Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Yeah.
Pranam. Shastra tells how to live the life in a very religious and systematic way to achieve the ultimate goal of the life.
Okay, how does it answer my question? I don't see the connection. The question is, what are the considerations for hearing the Shastra?
Because from hearing only will be benefited, no? Because from all the learned scholars,
No.
sages.
Listen, Murali Govinda, please listen carefully, because the question is, what are the external considerations for hearing Shastra? Not what is the purpose of hearing the Shastra or why the Shastra is important, but what are the external considerations?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
It tells about the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
See, anyway, you're not answering the question.
Okay.
Can you see or not?
Yeah.
I think when the other devotees respond to the question, maybe you get an understanding. Okay, let's hear from Ananda Vardhana Prabhu.
Prabhuji, from the verse 5, I can understand to provide offering the respectable seat to the speaker.
Good. Okay, that's a consideration. Okay, in fact, this is not an external consideration. I mean, it is an external consideration in one sense, but this reflects on an internal consideration. What is the internal consideration there? Ananda Vardhana.
Awe and reverence, like submissive.
Yeah, one must offer respects to the speaker. Yeah. When you know, if we want to the teacher, if we want to learn something from someone, we have to, you know, the etiquette is that we must be respectful. And a lot of what is being explained now in these verses, chapter 1, chapter 2, and I tell you, the whole first canto, and throughout, you're going to see, and this is very important, is the epistemology of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. In other words, how this knowledge is received. Because this knowledge is not academic knowledge. It's not that you just pick up the book and you hear it, you just, try to kind of, by your own efforts, try to, conceptualize what it means. There is certainly a benefit in doing that because the Bhagavatam is so potent that it will cleanse the heart of even the person who approaches the Bhagavatam like this. But the emphasis is given here in the attitude of the hearer, the attitude of the hearer. And what is the attitude of the hearer here? That he must offer respect. He must be in a submissive kind of frame of mind. And why is that? We're going to explain it in further verses because this is not the focus of this verse. But since Prabhu brought it up, okay. Chatura, Mataji.
The hearer must make inquiries.
Okay, so that will be again the qualification of this of the hearer. That is eagerness, inquisitiveness. Must be some eagerness to hear. Okay, good. We're jumping ahead. I'm just focusing on these two verses. Okay, but anyway, it is there, so it's okay. Archana Bhakti Radha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
One should have respect for the subject matter that is being dealt with.
Very important. One must have respect for the subject matter. Very good. Thank you. Vansidhar Vishal Prabhu. Were you here last week?
Yes, Prabhu, I couldn't attend on Sunday, but I was there on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. So I believe one of the consideration is the speaker has to be in he should be bona fide.
Okay, we are going ahead. We're jumping ahead. I want to stick to these two verses, okay? We're just in verse 4 and 5. Just please stick to these two verses. Jai Changlani, last time your name was something different. I forgot your name.
Oh, sorry, Janmashtami Krishnadas.
Janmashtami. Yeah?
Yes, I'll update my name, sorry.
It's
so
okay.
just 2 points. One being the submissive attitude, non-challenging attitude of a listener. And the other one is with respect to the speaker.
Very good. Thank you. It's been mentioned. Okay, let's see. Oops. 1 second. And I somehow I lost the bar. Okay, someone else would like to contribute.
Prabhuji,
Yes,
just
unmute
now
yourself.
you shared.
I lost. Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Few minutes back you shared that the sages are always eager for the welfare of the mankind.
Yeah.
That is one of the reasons, the importance, considerations for hearing Shastra.
Okay. Are you still be able to see my screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, 1 second. Somehow, yes, 1 second. Technicality. Okay, got it. So now I gave it away, didn't I? Here it is. Okay. So one of them is the external environment. According to this verse, you see, they have chosen a specific place. Okay. Naimisharanya, the place where, this is like a place which is a favorite for Vishnu, and where the strength of demoniac people is curtailed. So they chose a specific place. And so I was stressing last week, the importance about situating ourselves in the mode of goodness and creating a, like a nice environment. We study the Bhagavatam. And, we in our homes, we can also, we have our temple, we have our altar, these are places that are conducive for the hearing of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Needless to say that, in Kali Yuga now, at the point we have busy lives, we have our mobile phones with the Bhagavatam in them. So we should not be discouraged from, reading Bhagavatam anytime, anywhere, I read the Bhagavatam, the first time I read the Srimad-Bhagavatam, I read it on the Sankirtan car. Just driving to the Sankirtan spots for book distribution. That's how I read the book. And I remember I had these small volumes and I was reading the book, going to the bank to put the Lakshmi that we have collected from the book distribution. And, any moment I had, So the point here also is that we can create, the Bhagavatam itself purify. We can be in the bank, in the queue for putting the money in the bank, and by absorbing ourselves in the Bhagavatam, that place becomes a sanctified place, At the same time, the principle is there that, it's gonna be a lot easier to concentrate if we sit down, for example, here in Mayapur, I'm sitting down, in the bank, when I'm surrounded by karmi people doing all kinds of materialistic mundane activities. Okay, so that's one consideration. And the other consideration is the internal mood. Okay, so and I mentioned, I referred to this Swargaya Lokaya. The great sages are always anxious to do good to the people in general. They are sincere friends to all living entities, and at the risk of great personal inconvenience, they're always engaged in the service of the Lord for the good of all people. So this was the mood of the sages. The sages, they sat down there to inquire about, we're going to hear the questions. What is the ultimate good for the people in general? So this is the kind of also spirit that when we're studying the Shastra, it's not about becoming a great scholar, becoming, it's not about self-aggrandizement. We want to learn the Shastra so that we can implement it in our lives, and we can, like it was explained, we can develop a relationship with Krishna. And part of cultivating that relationship with Krishna is to share this message with other people, because that's what pleases Krishna the most. So we spirit is so important. So important. Okay, so the Grace says, I'm always anxious to do good to the people in general. Krishna will reveal things to us when we are in that consciousness. Another aspect of this was that, okay, so here it is. Let's read from the Bible. Someone would like to read this quote?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Go ahead. Anyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, Prabhuji. Should I go ahead, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Should I go?
Should I go ahead or should I wait? What are you doing?
It's better if we just be a little proactive. Just go ahead. Otherwise, we spend so much time. Just
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right.
One person, if two persons do it at the same time, then one person kind of just quiet, becomes quiet, and just one person reads. It's kind of more dynamic. Okay. No, okay. Thank you.
Those who listen to the Bhagavatam may put questions to the speaker in order to elicit the clear meaning. But this should not be done in a challenging spirit. One must submit questions with a great regard for the speaker and the subject matter.
Okay. Clear, these points were brought up by the devotees. Great regard for the subject matter, great regard for the speaker. And that's why we treat everything that is connected with the Bhagavatam with great respect. We don't put the book in a dirty place. We put the book in an elevated place. And when it comes to actually have, for example, a lecture, so there is a culture of the Bhagavatam. And if the speaker comes, you have to offer a proper seat. You have to offer a proper respect. And when this culture is observed, then the result or the result of studying the Bhagavatam is achieved. But without this, with a challenging spirit, we won't be able to enter into the mysteries of the Bhagavatam. And this is really, it's a simple thing in one sense, because we have been introduced to Krishna consciousness by Prabhupada. But if you look in the world, this concept is kind of maybe not so prominent, that a lot of the time people are, when someone is teaching, like in the schools, for example, teachers are not respected anymore by the children, right? The parents don't respect the children don't respect them. It's like the poor fellows are suffering so much. And as a result, they themselves, they don't care for the pupils, for the students. So this is a culture, particularly when we're talking about spiritual subject matter. Very, very important. Okay, let's continue.
One must learn this transcendental subject by submissive or reception from the right sources. Therefore, these sages address the speaker, Suta Goswami, with great respect. Srimad-Bhagavatam, Chapter 1, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Verse 5. Purport.
Okay, so, but the point also here is that the speaker must be qualified. We have to give, submissive oral reception to the person who is qualified. And this is what we're going to hear now. What are the qualifications of the speaker of the Srimad-Bhagavatam? This is what comes in the verses that follow. Another point is that what time of the day is good for the spiritual activities according to Prabhupada's purpose? What is the best time of the day? That's also expressed in the purpose. Anyone remembers? You can unmute yourself.
Brahma Muhurta time, Prabhu.
Is that in the purport?
Brahma Muhurta.
Morning is the best time.
It just says morning, right? We know Brahma Muhurta is definitely the best time, but it just says morning time. Morning, the sages in the morning, after completing the morning duties, they sat down and they engaged in this sacrifice, right? Which was here in the scriptures, okay? Clear? Okay, so we're moving ahead now with the qualities of a representative of Vyasadeva, and these are verses 6 to 8. So just before we even read the verses, I would like to do a little kind of brainstorm. And you can write down on the chat box, what are some of the qualities of a representative of Vyasadeva? Okay, we're getting some points here. Let's read. Must be in the same parampara. Exactly present the viewpoint of Vyasadeva, okay? Following the disciplic succession. Vyasadeva is a bona fide speaker. Charulata Mati, how? The question is how?
Okay, I think because he received the knowledge from the Lord himself, or rather he is also one of the incarnations of Lord himself.
So do we have to become an incarnation of the Lord to be a bona fide speaker?
No, not exactly, but at least Vyasadeva was. And then we can follow in the footsteps of the disciplic succession.
But that's the one quality that we cannot develop ourselves. We cannot become an incarnation. So what are the qualities that we can and we must develop ourselves if we want to represent Vyasadeva, and also we must search in someone who is a representative of Vyasadeva.
Yes, sure.
Tell us.
So we should follow the footsteps of the acharyas. I mean, to be able to follow, to be able to speak on Srimad-Bhagavatam.
Okay. You see, you're answering from the top of your head. You're not answering from the purpose, right, Charulata?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes. So far,
yeah,
yes.
So this is the importance. I strongly recommend that before you come to the classes, you read, because actually the answers are in the purport. And this is the whole point of studying the course, that you actually have the specific answers to these questions. So it's okay. You don't have to know them all, but is it there in the purport? Okay, because you raise your hand, so that's why I'm asking. Okay, let's see. You wrote there. So must be in the same parampara. Also, what is the same parampara? I don't know what that means, Anandavardhana. Exactly present the viewpoint of Vyasadeva. Clear. Following the disciplic succession. Clear. Incarnation of the Supreme Lord. We just explained that. That's not necessarily a qualification that is mandatory. Okay, thank God. It must be in the chain of disciplic succession. Okay, it must be well versed in the subject matter. Everybody's right. It must be in the disciplic succession. So not envious, submissive to Guru. Shama Bhakti. Okay, not envious, submissive to Guru. Very good, submissive to Guru. No envious, definitely there, but it's mentioned before. Okay, Vansidar, deliver the spiritual message unbroken. What does it mean, unbroken? Vansidar, Prabhu?
as is without putting his or her own view or point.
Good, very good. Thank you. Follow the acharyas, free from all dualities. Ananda Bardana. Okay, another one. Tell us what you mean by free from all dualities.
Like from the body and from the all the related to the body, and that is having all the illicit activities. He should be free from all the dualities of the body. Like he's firmly fixed in the Brahman, no?
Okay, let's see how that's explained. We'll unpack that later. Free from all vices. That's it. I think that's what you're trying to mean. Okay. Gone through improper guidance. Yes, very important. Gone through improper guidance. One of the main qualities of a teacher is what? He must have been a good student. He is a good student. You cannot be a teacher unless you are a good student. So we focus on being good students. Naturally, as we develop and cultivate this knowledge, we will be able to present it in a proper, authorized way. Okay? Must be dhira. Okay, dhira. Yeah. Okay, preserve original meaning. Very good. Well versed in all scripture, free from all vice. Okay, for regulative principle. Deep understanding of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Yes, must be a Goswami. Okay, Syamapriya Somya. What does it mean that must be a Goswami?
Yes, Prabhu. So basically, master of all senses.
Say again?
Basically, master of all senses.
Okay. Does he need to carry a danda?
Not necessarily.
Okay, very good. Yeah, good. Thank you. So it's a person who is no godas anymore. He's not being dragged around by his senses, but he controls the senses. Yeah. Very good. Radharaman, no adulteration in the subject matter. Bien, that's being already explained. Free from all vices, free from vices. One should be expert in material and spiritual knowledge. Okay, Murali Govinda Prabhu, come on, unpack this one for us.
Yes, Prabhu, if he is very expert in both material and spiritual knowledge, it will be very easy for him to explain to any kind of persons, those who are really on material platform like bodily conceptions and all, and on spiritual platform, that Atma, significance of Atma, that can be taught to anybody, preached to anybody. So you should be expert to handle both kind of people.
Yeah, actually the Ishopanishad explains, one should learn side by side, like spiritual and material. But it doesn't mean that you have to be like an engineer, or you don't have to have like a career, The point is that you have understood how the material energy works and how to get out of it, basically,
Yeah.
And that's, spiritual. Okay, master of the Vedas. We'll touch on that one later. Okay, we're going to go through all of this. I just wanted to get your brains, active and see how much you have read. Okay, Samuel, the qualified speaker must have affection for his guru, and he must be the object of his guru's affection. Okay, very nice. This is in the 7th canto. We'll hear about this, how the spiritual, the devotee, the disciple, he sees he has a friendship relationship with his guru. Have the bestow of his spiritual master, the blessings, I think you mentioned. Yeah, spotless in character. Yeah, okay. Lila Manohar, the representative has to be bona fide. Okay, but the question really here is, how is he bona fide? That's what we're discussing. You see, when you give an answer like this, to me, it means you haven't understood the question. And I just come emphasizing on this because when you write the essays, okay, when you prepare your essays, you must have understood the question. Because if you answer the representative have to be bona fide, you're not answering the question. You see? Now you wrote authorized by the previous acharyas. Yes. That's bona fide. Okay? How is he bona fide? Okay? So it's very important and kind of emphasizing these points now because it's the beginning of the course and you're going to be writing a lot of essays and make sure that you understand the questions and that you can understand them and you can explain them nicely. All right, so we can move ahead. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so let's read the verses actually before we move into that. Let's read verses 6 to 8. Someone would like to read? We can just okay, I'll read the Sanskrit. Risha Yauchu Twayakalu Puranani Setyahasani Chanaga Akyatani Apyaditani Dharma Shastrani Yanyuta. The sage said, respected Sutta Goswami, you are completely free from all vice. Okay, first, you are well versed in all scriptures, famous for religious life, and in the Puranas and the histories as well, for you have gone through them and the proper guidance and have also explained them. Okay, so already here we have so many qualities, right? Like free from all vice. Free from all vice means that, spiritual knowledge is not something that has to be, conceptualized and learned and memorized. We have to live it. We have to live according to the principles that we learn in the scriptures. You cannot just learn the Srimad-Bhagavatam and we're not these bodies and we are, we have to be equipoise and we have to be tolerant and forgiving and at the same time, living a life without following any of these principles. Then your speech, your realization will not take place. So the first qualification is that you have to be free from all vice in order to present the message of Vyasadeva. And you're well versed. One must be well versed, and this is the beauty also of taking time to study Srimad-Bhagavatam, that we can become well versed in the philosophy by constant exposure, by constant reading of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Of course, needless to say, when we're talking here about the qualities of a representative of Vyasadeva, these are the qualities of a spiritual master, basically. This is what is referring to what the qualities. This is what when we search for a guru. This is what we need to find. But at the same time, these are qualities that we must aspire for, that we must cultivate ourselves if we want to perfect our lives. So becoming well-versed, like Nana Shastra Vicharana Kinipuno Sadharma Samstapako Lokanan Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Saranjakaro. He says that the six Goswamis, they were scrutinizingly, going through all the scriptures to establish religious principles to benefit the whole world. You see, again, the Goswamis, they are concerned about the welfare of other people. So this quality of compassion, this quality of becoming an agent of mercy is so important if we want to get the blessings of the Bhagavatam. And the Goswamis, like it says, Sadharma Samstapako, they were studying with the aim to establish religious principles. So when we're studying the Srimad-Bhagavatam, we should be drawing, finding what is the principle is being established here. You see, only today, just in the small chat discussion we're having, so many religious principles have come up. Okay, can you tell me one? Just tell me one, or write one in the chat box. One, axiomatic principle that we have learned today. Just tell me, and we discuss many, but just give me one. See if we can understand this. What is a principle? And a principle means it's a general rule that, it always works. It's something that is not to be adjusted. Okay? Okay, Radha Naman, respecting the teacher. Correct. Now, to make it complete, you could have written like, in order to receive transcendental knowledge, one must offer respects to the teacher. Okay, that will be more complete, but the principle is correct. Okay, Okay, someone else. Okay, what else? Again, submissive oral reception. It's the same point. In order to receive transcendental knowledge, one must be submissive. Okay? In order to explain transcendental knowledge, one must be free from not sinful reaction, sinful life. Okay? Now, keep in mind, you see, you're not giving me the principle complete. You're right, free from sinful reaction. That's not a principle. That's just a quality. When we're talking of a principle, you have to give me as a law, as a rule. Understood? You understand what I'm talking about? Raise your hand if you understood what I'm talking about. You don't understand? If you don't raise your hand, what is a principle? Okay, so keeping the environment clean, is that a principle? It's not a principle. You're just making a random sentence. You have to make it into a principle. Okay, Shinarayan, in order to receive transcendental knowledge, one must be ready, be patient, and serve. Not totally. It's okay, but it's not like bang, you know. Scrutinizingly, nothing. In order, okay, Samuel, in order to receive realized knowledge, one must apply the principles learning to his own life. Is that a principle? Yes or not? Come on. I need to see your responses here, because this, I'm just taking time for this because this is it's going to be useful for you for the whole study of the Bhagavatam. How to draw a general principle, okay? So I stop. So you understand, is that what Samuel wrote? Is that a general principle, yes or not? Just check your hand if you think yes or no, if not. So everybody's on Brahman platform, free from dualities. Eh? You don't know, okay? Okay, it is a principle. It is a principle. Okay, but and why is a principle? Samuel, tell us.
Prabhu, because it's true even in material things also, that if we have to, even the scientists, they don't only make hypotheses, but then they apply, and then there's result is there.
It's okay, but for example, you see, the point is that Krishna is only going to give you as much knowledge as you're going to use. If you misuse the knowledge, why will Krishna give it to you? Why the Guru will give you any knowledge if you're misusing it? It becomes dangerous, because the more knowledge you have, and if you don't use it properly, the bigger the mistakes you're going to make. Okay? Okay. Charulata, in order to receive transcendental knowledge, we must follow the disciplic succession. Is that a general principle? General principle? Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhu, I think so.
I know you think so, but what about everybody else? Do you think it's a principle or not? Radharaman, is a principle or not? Okay, Shema Bhakti, is a principle? Yes. Lila Manohar, is a principle? Yes or not?
Yes, yes.
Yes, it is a principle. It is a rule. You see?
Yes.
Okay? In order to explain transcendental, we need to control his senses. Yes. Submissiveness, is that a principle? No. That's just a quality. You understand, Shema Bhakti? You need to write the whole sentence. Okay? In order to receive the blessings of the spiritual master, one must be submissive. That's a principle. Can you get the blessings of the spiritual master without being submissive? Unlikely. Right? First of all, disciples should completely surrender to the spiritual master. Is that a principle? No, I mean, you know, it's incomplete. What you mean by that? No, it's not clear. One must be a Goswami to be a representative of Srila Vyasadeva. Again, that could be taken out of context because you don't have to be a Goswami as in the ashram of sannyas. You don't have to be a sannyasi to be a representative for Srila Vyasadeva. Okay. Chatura, willing to learn from the scripture, not a principle. Must learn from the scripture from the right source. It's kind of, it's not really, entirely clear. You understand why, Chatura Mate? Okay, someone can clarify that. How will you write that to make it into a principle, a rule, a general rule? I mean, must learn from the scriptures from the right source. You will say, to learn from the scriptures, you have to hear, or you have to, how we say, in order to receive knowledge from the scriptures, you have to receive the knowledge from the right source. But some principles are kind of very, very, very clear here, okay? And very powerful. I mean, that's one of them. One must be in parampara. Could you explain the difference between one principle and its related quality? For example, submissiveness is a quality, right? If I ask you in a test, in an essay, okay, could you please draw general principles from the section in the Srimad-Bhagavatam in relationship with Sukadeva Goswami speaking the Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, and you write, well, Parikshit Maharaj was submissive. Okay? You're describing a quality there, a characteristic of Parikshit Maharaj, but you're not describing a principle. The principle will be like, well, we learn from the behavior of Parikshit Maharaj that in order to get the blessings of the Guru, one must be submissive. Principle. Clear? Okay. In order to explain Srimad-Bhagavatam, should be well versed in all revealed scriptures. Okay, that's a principle. Yeah, it's being established there in the purport. Yeah. All right. So it's becoming clear at this point. So now we go ahead and we're gonna see a few more. We're gonna continue with. I'm gonna share the screen again. Okay, so qualities. Now we already read the text number 5. 1 second. My Bhagavatam now. So Prabhupada in the purport, and these purports are very important. We don't have time to read it all. But Prabhupada makes a few points. We're just going to focus on something here from the purport, okay? Someone would like to read? Shinarayan Prabhu, can you read, please?
To hear and explain them is more important than reading them. One can assimilate the knowledge of the revealed scriptures only by hearing and explaining. Hearing is called Shravana and explaining is called Kirtana. The two processes of Shravana and Kirtana are of primary importance to progressive spiritual life. Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.1.6.
So you see, the point here is that, and obviously Prabhupada is not minimizing the importance of reading, okay? But okay, let's open this for discussion. What does it mean? It says to hear and explaining is more important than reading them. Why? Hands up.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Ananda Vardhana Prabhu, go for it.
Just so that we don't become a pandit, just become pandit, expert in knowledge only.
Not clear, not clear. You're right, that's a symptom that you want to become, we just want to become pandit, but why is it that it's more important to hear and explain them than just to read them? Why? Why we will not become like pandits in that sense that you're talking if we hear and explain them rather than just reading them? That will be the answer. Can you answer that? Can you explain that?
I can't think of Prabhuji
Okay.
right now.
Let's move to Shyama Bhakti.
Yeah. So, Prabhu, when we hear and we explain, it's we understand it well and we apply it and we introspect more and we absorb more, and then we have some realization and we explain our realization in alignment with the teachings which we have read or which we have heard. So it's more about the absorption. That
Wonderful, very nice, very nice. That first of all, there is in the Vedas the process of acquiring knowledge from Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. Okay, so first of all we hear, and it's explained to us, and when we are hearing from the speaker, we are also imbibing his own realization. Okay, but now if you want to then the goal is going from manana. Manana means to you contemplate what you've heard. Okay, now these two processes take place also with reading. Reading is also in a sense a form of hearing, right? We're hearing from Srila Prabhupada's realizations, and then we're contemplating. All right. However, with only reading the books, there is a higher risk of misunderstanding what is being expressed in the book. We need someone to explain to us what is in the book. That's the difference. That's important. And then why explaining them is important, because you cannot explain it unless you have understood it. And this is one of the reasons why I like to teach and I like to speak, because this is a way by which I actually get my own understanding. If I haven't understood something, when I'm going to present it and explain it, it's not going to come out. And then you think, okay, I thought I have understood this, but I had not, because I'm not able to present it. You cannot explain it unless you have understood it. So this is very important that, we whenever we learn something, you immediately try to share it with others, because this is a way by which you will consolidate your learning also. Prabhupada told Tamal Krishna Maharaj that 15 minutes of preaching equal to 1 hour of reading. You notice, Mataji's mentioned, I really like the point that Shyama Bhakti mentioned about absorption. Really nice point. And how much more absorbed can you get when you are explaining the philosophy? Right? You forget about everything. So you enter into some kind of bubble, you forget. You just like, oh, focus, so focus. So much easier to focus when you're explaining. So it's important, the benefit of preaching. Okay, so he has heard them and he has explained them. The sages are excited. Why? Sutta Goswami was there. He heard directly from Shukadeva Goswami. He internalized it. He realized it. And now he can explain it to us. See, these verses are also expressing the eagerness of the sages at Naimisharanya. And they're praising him. They're offering respects. You see, they're acknowledging his qualification. So it's a very, very important, the culture of the Bhagavatam. And I noticed myself, both ways, as a speaker and as a hearer, most of you, I'm sure that you have done some preaching, and it depends, when for a class to go well, it's not just the speaker. Both the audience and the speaker has to be qualified. If the audience is casual about it, if the audience is not really that interested, Krishna is not going to empower the speaker to speak. Of course, needless to say that when the speaker is very qualified, he will be able to, like withdraw the minds of the audience, right? But still, the point remains that if the audience has a challenging attitude, then it's not going to happen. So if I am sitting in a class and I am thinking of the speaker and I'm thinking, well, I don't really like this guy, obviously, no matter what he says or she says, the shutters are down, So we're not gonna, and then after at the end of the class, you think, wow, what, you're indifferent to the class, and then someone else comes and says to you, wow, that was such a wonderful class. Do you hear? But your ears were blocked. So it's very important. Is Nitya Bhagavat Sevaya. When we go to hear Bhagavatam, we go in the mood of service, and a service is to hear. No matter who if we go to a Bhagavatam class, okay, in the temple, there is going to be some reciprocation from the Lord. I mean, I hear the words, I don't go to Bhagavatam class anymore, and my heart always cringes with this, because I'm thinking, well, how is it that you can make such a statement, that all the speakers are not giving classes? You just make that judgment, when you can if you're in the proper state of mind, wisdom can come from anyone. Never mind if you sit down in a ISKCON Bhagavatam class, It's not like a good sign, to be honest. We think, oh, I don't go anymore to this. I mean, unless it's really something seriously going wrong. But so both the speaker and the hearer must be qualified. And we're hearing here about the qualifications of the speaker, and we're hearing about the qualifications of the hearer. Okay. I see a few hands up. I don't know if that means questions or means that you had the hand up from before. If it's a question, keep it up, or just unmute yourself and you can ask. Otherwise, we'll move ahead. You can put your hands down. Chatura, you have the hand up there.
Yeah, Prabhu, when we hear submissively and attentively, and then the speaker's devotion can impart into one's heart, and also we can get some of his good qualities. And also when one hear, we can have the interactive with the speaker, so we can clear our doubts. So it's very important to hear than read.
Nice. It's true. Very good points. Thank you. All right. Okay, so let's continue. I mean, we could elaborate on this so much, but let's get the principles, right? The general principles. I hope that that's coming across. Okay. So let's go ahead. Okay, so here it is from a lecture on this verse. Someone can read, maybe Samuel, please.
You have read, not only you have read, but you have described. Description means you read something. Unless you fully assimilate, understand, you cannot describe it. So two things. Simply reading will not help us. When we shall be able to preach the reading matter, that is wanted. You have read, and you have explained.
Clear. Okay. So I'm going to read the next next text. Yani vedam vidam shresto bhagavam badarayana anyechamuna yasuta parabara vido vidu. Being the eldest learned Vedantist, Asuta Goswami, you are acquainted with the knowledge of Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Godhead, and you also know other sages who are fully versed in all kinds of physical and metaphysical knowledge. Okay, so more qualities are here. Okay, I'm gonna read verse 8 and then we'll just do them all together. Vetta tvam saumya tat sarvam tatvatats tat anugrahat vruyushnigdasya sishyasya guravo guhyam apyuta. And because you are submissive, your spiritual master have endowed you with all the favors bestowed upon a gentle disciple. Therefore, you can tell us all that you have scientifically learned from them. Huh? So here also we hear, you know, it says samya. Samya means simple. It's not someone who is like puffed up, someone who is, you know, someone who is empowered to preach this message is pure. Simple in this case means pure. Simple means without crookedness, without, you know, being devious, very straightforward, very simple, as it is. What you see is what you get. And Shnigda means that he is submissive. Huh? So then when we cultivate these qualities of simplicity, obedience, submissiveness, then the spiritual, the mercy flows to us, and we can actually receive this transcendental message, which otherwise it remains guhyam. You see, the point about transcendental knowledge is secret. It's the most secret thing there is. Some people read the Bhagavatam and they give it up. They don't find anything in it. You know, they may even be offensive. What silly thing is this? But someone who has the proper attitude when he reads the Bhagavatam, he you know, he is never enough. We're going to see that in subsequent verses. Okay. So I'll read from the purple we can read. Okay. Let's see who can read now. Priyatam Krishna Prabhu.
It is essential, therefore, that a disciple must be very much obedient and submissive. It is to the bona fide spiritual master. He was endowed with all favors by his learned and self-realized spiritual master. Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.1.8.
Okay. Someone else.
First of all, Sutta Goswami was selected because he received the knowledge from Vyasdev and
Sorry, 1 second. I just, there is someone there with the mic on. I just turn it off. Yes, please, when you contribute, make sure that you mute yourself immediately after, particularly if there is background noise. Okay, whoever was reading, I think I muted you by mistake. Please continue. You can unmute yourself.
First of all, Sutta Goswami was selected because he received the knowledge from Vyasdev and other sages very perfectly on account of his becoming submissive and serious. This is the first qualification.
Okay, so how do we develop this quality of submissiveness? What does it mean to be submissive in the first place? Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna, is that being submissive? Hare Krishna. Guruji, Prabhuji, please. Is that what submissive means? What is submissive then? Anyone?
Genuinely interested in knowing.
Genuinely interested in knowing is not really submissiveness, but one who is genuinely interested in you see, the symptom of someone who is genuinely interested in knowing, it will be that he is submissive. The external behavior of someone who has that interest will be that submissiveness, if that makes sense. Yeah? It's an expression of our consciousness. Que Murali Govinda Prabhu impresses.
Yes, Prabhuji. he should be always like he doesn't know anything. He is fool number one, ignorant person. He should be externally also that way. He should present himself.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but it could be subject to it is true. That's the point. We submissive mean that we understand that, you know, it's a clean slate, they call it, you know. We don't have our own kind of we're open to receive the truth, even when the truth challenges my own view of reality. I'm not going to resist it. I may say, well, I'm not there yet. This is too much for me at the moment, but I accept the principle. I'm not resentful to the principle. It's just my own disqualification that I may not be able to surrender to that level at this moment. Okay? Clear?
Yes, Prabhu.
We don't come with a challenge. It's the opposite to come with a challenging attitude. When someone, the opposite to submissive is that, you know, the teacher or the guru is telling you something, and that's challenging your attachment, is challenging what you want, and you will fight back, and you will challenge the guru, and you will say, you're wrong. That's not the way it is. Huh? That's challenging. That's not submissive. So when we're talking that we should be like a fool, I mean, it is true, and the example is that with Lord Chaitanya himself, you know, when Prakasananda Sarasvati, you know, asked him, he said, my guru told me I'm a fool, you know. He's the Supreme Lord. He's submissive, huh? But at the same time, we should not be fools also, okay? We shouldn't be fools. Spiritual, a devotee is very thoughtful.
I was hearing a lecture, Prabhu, today, in which actually at that Panihatti, the Hicheda festival, how Srila Raghunath Das Goswami presented himself before Nityananda Prabhu. So we all know that since childhood he was a very great devotee, and he doesn't have any material entanglements and all. Still he presents himself that is ignorant, he doesn't know anything. He has been attached to all material contaminations. He was presenting himself that way. So that should be the attitude when you are approaching your spiritual master or any saint.
Very nice, precise. We have the example of Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis also, that they were like super influential people. They were ministers of the wealthiest, you know, state in Bengal. I mean, they were like, you know, like the wealthiest people on the planet, practically speaking. When they came to Lord Chaitanya, they presented themselves with a very humble and submissive way, you know, with a piece of straw in their mouth. They offered obeisances from the distance. That was the qualification. Lord Chaitanya immediately wanted to give them the mercy. We should never think in the presence of the spiritual master that we know.
Even King Prataparudra, before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees, a great example.
So many examples are there. Okay, so one must be submissive. Okay. So that's the first qualification. And serious it means, what does it mean serious? Prabhupada often talks about serious and sincere, right? So how do we understand this being serious? Anyone?
Interested in knowing the subject matter, Prabhuji.
Say again?
Interested in knowing the subject matter.
Okay. He's interested in subject. Okay. Anything else? Because interested in knowing the subject matter is a symptom again of being serious, right? Right? When you are, I mean, sorry, serious is a symptom of someone who is interested in the subject matter. But how does it manifest? Yeah, someone raise their hand there, please. Just unmute yourself and speak.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I was wondering, we should not get affected by the flickering mind. That's also one aspect of being serious.
One should not be affected by the flickering mind. Tell us a little more.
I mean, the mind always engages us in dualities.
Yeah.
So we should be firm on what we are, looking at, instead of just getting carried away by the mind tactics.
Yeah.
And not.
Yeah.
And not following.
Serious means that now I have taking a vow. I'm going in a particular direction. I have, decided. I make the decision. I'm surrendering. And the mind may come, the dualities of the world may come, maybe afflicted in different ways, but I am firm about achieving the purpose of human life. That's being serious. Because in the matter of in a spiritual journey, we're going to be challenged. It's going to happen. That's the very nature of this world. But someone who is serious will continue, will be constant. Okay? Vyavasayatmika buddhi, exactly. Intense desire to hear. Okay, these are all good. Okay, let's move to the next. So here it's a bit of a summary of some of the characteristics that being enlisted here. So he has restrained the senses, sticks to the path made by the previous acharyas, does not deliver lectures on the Bhagavatam capriciously. Okay? So that means that he doesn't add anything, doesn't take anything out. He just sticks to the path. Now, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything is already done in the scripture. We just have to present it in a way which is appealing to the audience. You come to chapter 4, we'll come to a beautiful verse. Okay, free from all vices, spotless in character, well-versed in the scriptures, hear and explain them, conversant in all systems of philosophy. Now, this may be a little challenging for some of us, like how we're going to become conversant in all systems of philosophy. It's not that, Prabhupada didn't emphasize that we have to study all the systems of philosophy, but I mean, there is this purpose really, what is mentioned, but the idea is that if we become conversant in the knowledge of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, we will be able to defeat all philosophies, all kinds of philosophies. Obedient and submissive to the bona fide spiritual master. Okay, clear. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to divide you into groups. Okay, I'm going to put you into groups of 3 or 4, and we're going to do a little sharing. And I want you to identify what are the qualities you feel particularly challenged, or you would like to focus on. What quality I want to focus on, because these qualities. It's not that you are born with them. You can, you have to work on them. You have to cultivate them. Okay. So what you can identify like 2 or 3 qualities you're particularly challenged with, and then you can. How will your preaching ability and your own spiritual practices will improve if you develop that quality? What will be the impact of that? And in the group, you can share what these are. It's confidential, okay? You don't have to share it with the rest of the class if you don't want, but you can share it in the small groups you have, and make groups of 3. And you can ask for suggestions of how to overcome those challenges, okay? It's gonna be difficult for me to do it gender separate, okay? So maybe men and women will be in the same group. I need to learn how to do that. Is that okay with you? Yeah, okay. So we'll do like 6 minutes of that, and then after that, we are gonna have a break for 10 minutes, okay? So we'll discuss that for 6 minutes. And I'll bring you back, and then we'll have the break, and then we'll share. Okay? So let's do this.
Prabhu, shall we have this PPT after class?
Yeah, I can give you I'll give you not the PPT, but I'll give you the outline. Okay? The outline, I can send it to you. Actually, I'll send it to Aniruddha Prabhu. He can share it with you. Okay?
Thank
Okay,
you.
I'm gonna break. Thank you very much for the sharing. So let's see what we left off here. Okay. So now, okay, so we're now moving into a different section of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Now, after the sages have, praised Sutta Goswami, and they're very eagerly inquiring about him, they're gonna ask 6 questions, all right? And these questions, as I mentioned, they will be answered throughout the second chapter and the 3rd chapter, and the theme of these questions will be exposed through the rest of the course. So now here comes the first question, and we can read the verse.
What is the ultimate God?
Please. Okay, so text number 9. Tatra tatra yasa yushmam bhavatat yat vinischitam pumsam ekantata shreyas tanna samsitum arhasi. So please, therefore, being blessed with many years, explain to us in an easily understandable way what you have ascertained to be the absolute and ultimate good for the people in general. Okay, so what's the first question? The first question is, what is the ultimate good for all people? Pumsam ekantata shreyas. Pumsam ekantata shreyas. And it explains, it says that tatra tatra yasayutman. It says that, Ayushman, that Ugrashrava Sutta had been blessed with many years. And this is where we come to the story where Balaram came and killed basically Ramaharshana Sutta. And then the sages have, explained to Balaram that, well, we have blessed this person to live for a long time and you have killed him. And then Balaram actually transferred those blessings that the sages have given to Ramaharshana Sutta. They put him on. They transferred them to Ugrashrava Sutta. So Ugrashrava Sutta was very old. Shonaka Rishi was also very, very old. They were great sages. And so the question is, what is the ultimate good for all people? And explain it to us in an easily and understandable way. So that when, so an alternative way to understand this question is, what is the sadhana? What is the practice by which one can attain the ultimate good? It's a very important question, right? Do we know what is the answer? What is the ultimate good? What is the ultimate achievement? You can answer in the chat box. What is the ultimate? Shreyas. What is the ultimate good? What is the answer to this question? Or you can unmute yourself if you want, as you wish. Anyone? What is the ultimate attainment?
Love of Godhead.
Thank you. Yeah, pure bhakti. To develop a relationship with Krishna, that's the ultimate. So prema bhakti is the highest goal. And the direct proof, and the direct process of devotional service is the best way to achieve it. Okay, this will be answered in 2nd chapter. Prema bhakti is the highest goal. So if we really want to benefit, you see, place yourself in the context of this conversation is taking place. The sages are assembled and they're concerned about the welfare of the people. They are foreseeing, and comes in the context of the next verse. Okay, let's see what is the next verse. It's a famous verse. Okay, before we can read this quote, someone would like to read this quote?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I?
Yeah.
Now they are asking what you have thought the best way of achievement, the highest goal of life. Anjasa, just make it easy. In the next verse, it will be explained why easy things are required in this age. So here the question is that Pumsam ekantataha shreyas. Now we are very much eager to hear from you, to listen from you. Kindly let us know what is the easiest method to achieve the highest goal of life. This is the question. Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse 9, Auckland, February 28, 1973.
So in the next verse, it will be explained why easy things are required. Why? Because in Kali Yuga, people are disqualified. Okay, so this is a very important verse in the Bhagavatam, and it's a memorization verse. So Prayena alpa yusa shabhyam kalavasmin yuge janaha manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hupadruta. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, they're always disturbed. Okay, so this verse, the sages, by their spiritual vision, they are seeing what is the qualification of the people in this age. And the qualification is that their lifespan is very short. Hence, there is not so much time for spiritual realization. They're quarrelsome, they're lazy, they're misguided, and they're unlucky, always disturbed. So therefore, we need to know what is the ultimate good for all people. And it has to be something which is easy, which is good for everyone, even for the people in this age who are very unqualified. It has to be something that's going to be very potent, very fast acting, and it's going to benefit everyone, despite the fact that people in this age are unqualified. This is the context of the question. Clear? So now, these are the quality characteristics of the people in the age. They're short-lived, they're lazy, slow, they are like, in the matter of spiritual realization particularly, they are not, not so sharp to understand spiritual principles. Do we see this in the society? They are misguided, sumanda matayo, and they're unlucky, manda bhagya. And above all, upadrutaha. They are always disturbed. So who is these people? Us. That's Kali Yuga people. We are Kali Yuga people. Right? By default. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, maybe we are coming out of that. But by default, this is how we were born in this age. So I would like to now, we're gonna discuss this a little bit, more like in a kind of group way. So they're alpa ayushaha, they're short-lived. So what are some of the characteristics or the reasons that Prabhupada gives why people are short-lived in this age? And the question also, I would like to two questions here. What are the reasons for people being short-lived? And the other one is in our day-to-day, if someone asks you to explain how people are becoming more, the lifespan is being shortened, how will you explain it? Because some people may claim, well, no, actually, with the advancement of medicine, the advancements of science, we know so much more now about disease, and people are living longer now than they used to live before. But the Bhagavatam is saying, no, the people are becoming more and more, the lifespan is becoming shorter and shorter. So how do we understand it? Murali Govinda Prabhu, your hand is always up. Could you please put it down if it's not supposed to be up, or because I'm confused?
Okay, I just wanted to answer that question, Prabhuji.
Okay, so you're keeping the hand up by default. Just is there? If there is a question.
Yeah, but the last session, before the interval session, I just wanted to share something with you, but I didn't notice it, Prabhu. The hand was raised.
No problem.
But this Alpaisha, see, according to me, this is my understanding, Prabhuji.
Fine. That's what we want.
Yeah, because the best medicine for anything in this Kali Yuga is knowing about the God. See, we are totally away from the God. That's why even our mental health, that is getting deteriorated first. It is impacting our physical health also. This is my understanding.
Very nice, but I'm not convinced. How is that? You're telling me that because I don't believe in God, I am, I mean, I don't know how is that?
See, I look at this way, Prabhuji. Even your scientific development or on the field of medicine, whatever research and development is taking place, that is not at all stopping your death problem, no? Or even for there is no permanent cure for certain diseases also. People are dying because of the diseases also. So we can always explain them in whatever span of life.
Is your Krishna consciousness stopping you from dying? Is your Krishna consciousness stopping you from going on?
No, it will not stop. People have to die. Even devotees also dying. But their death is so glorious, no? In that lifespan.
The question remains that you're saying that people are more short. Their lifespan is shortened. So how is that? Okay, I'm going to move to someone else.
Okay.
Radha Raman, Prabhu. Thank you for that anyway. Your contributions are always appreciated.
So first is how our lives are short. One example is like in previous yugas, the people, they would live for long. For example, we read some devotees, they did tapasya, austerities for thousands of years. Even Hiranyakashipu, he did austerity for thousands of years. But here in Kali Yuga, what maximum limit we have? Like 100 years is the maximum.
Fairy tales. You're telling me fairy tales. What are they? What is that? People living for thousands of years. I haven't seen it.
Like for example, Hiranyakashipu, he was doing austerity.
Who is Hiranyakashipu? Who is Hiranyakashipu? This is like fairy tales.
Okay.
Can you give me some proper evidence that people's life is becoming shortened? What is the proof of people living for thousands of years? You become quiet, sound. You defeated or what? I'm missing. Is it Ramananda? Radha Raman, sorry.
Thinking, bro.
Think quick.
Maybe someone, I would listen first.
Okay. Someone would like to take it up from where it was left.
Yes, Prabhuji, I have a point. I was wondering, life is short. It actually relates to the fact that we do not value human life. It's such a rare thing that we have got, and we just do not make use of it. in a way, we do not know the purpose of the human life. We just want to make money and live big
So
style life.
what has that got to do with lifespan? I'm sorry, Charulata, this is like, so you don't value the value of life. What does it mean that I live 40 years or 50 years? But you're basically saying that we don't value we don't value human life, but that's not going to change how long I live for.
Well, even if in a shorter span of life, we are able to develop Krishna consciousness.
But that's not the question. You're telling me all this stuff. I'm saying to you, your book says that people are living shorter time now.
Yes.
So how is that?
Okay.
Archana Bhakti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So we can always say that people's habits are not at all regularized. They are very whimsical with their habits. There's no habit of rising or sleeping or eating habits. And most of all our things, whether it is air, it is water, it is food, everything is polluted, which has an impact on the health. And the other thing is, it is a fast-paced life. People don't have time. People are stressed out. And because of which we see young people like 25 years old having diabetes, heart attacks, and all these things which were not rampant before. So these are the few reasons why we can say that it has impacted the lifespan of people.
Yeah, Prabhupada is explaining. You have to just go to the Prabhupada's purport. That's Prabhupada explaining that in the purport, right? And do we see this in modern society? This happening, people having irregular habits?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Still, some people may claim that, no, we're living longer, but you could, what else, what other arguments could you throw at this equation? Prema Manjari, any idea? What else would be added? Unmute yourself, yeah?
Srila Prabhupada makes one point also regarding the artificial standards of living, which sap the very vitality of human energy. So this is like, you know, so many people are living in big cities where this is happening. And this is something people can see, so they can verify that this is a valid statement. And then also another thing, depending on another's mercy, because nowadays so many people have jobs, and especially now in the present situation of Corona crisis, so many people are now losing their jobs. So they're experiencing the worst of being dependent on somebody's mercy because they are staying without livelihood. And many people are actually committing suicide now because of these circumstances. So I think that right now in this present situation, it is much easier to present all these points because it's a stark truth in everybody's face. And we can see that so many people are actually dying young now, even because of many reasons connected with the present situation of Corona, right?
Yeah, all valid points. Yes, it's reasonable. Is she speaking something which is not verifiable by our own perception? Artificial standard of living, people live in cities, they are not exposed to nature, you know, pollution, they don't see the sunrise, they don't see the sunset, they don't, you know, they're living in a concrete jungle, eating junk food, processed food. I used to live in England. I remember in the supermarket, sometimes we will go and buy something and you will see the person in front of you, the trolley full of nothing natural, no fruits, no, it was all like cookies and beer and whiskey and, you know. Then I was in the Middle East also for some time in this, you know, preaching and living, you know, with indoors on AC buildings. The children are in these big condominiums. They don't get a chance to go out. the building because it's too hot. There is no place to go. They're just playing in the corridors of the buildings. No sunlight. And you see the people in this age, particularly in those places where the society is very degraded, they don't have any luster. They have lost the luster. They're looking like ghosts. Prabhupada is describing this, and then you add to the equation, you can add abortion. How many people are dying out of abortion on a year, basically, you know, daily, how many abortions are taking place? So that also reduces the lifespan. Okay, Chatura Mataji?
Hare Krishna, the main reasons for this short lifespan is in the purpose. Srila Prabhupada said the overeating, oversense gratification, and
So
over independent. All this, I think is because these people in Kali age, they break the 4 principles because they eat meat and then it's not healthy, and they do illicit sex and indulge in sex and waste their lives with vitality, and they do gambling and make people live in anxiety, and then they do intoxication and drinking unhealthy food. So all this make this lifespan short. Also, they lord over the material nature and made the environment very bad for people to live. And then this modern people also made our life very complicated. So we cannot live simplicity in the city. And also you say just now abortion. Srila Prabhupada in one of his lectures said this abortion, people when they count their life span, they don't calculate this abortion. So they think their lifespan, that their life expand and they live longer than the people before. Okay.
Yeah, so these are all very valid points. And like obesity, for example, this is a major problem in the US. How many millions of people are suffering from obesity, okay? Being too fat, bad habits, bad eating habits. The heart has to work harder to keep the body working. People have heart attacks. Then all the toxins that people put in the meat industry, it's not just eating the meat, but it's all the chemicals they put to keep it looking kind of attractive. And this is one of the major causes for heart attacks. This is Kali Yuga. It's mode of passion, mode of ignorance. And okay, so let's read a little bit from the purport. Some of the reasons Prabhupada gave. Okay, so what is the reason Prabhupada gives? Not so much because of insufficient food, but because of irregular habits. So what are irregular habits? You know, getting up late, going to bed late. You know, they don't, you know, nowadays, at least, you know, when I was a kid, okay, we will eat at home. My mother will cook and we will sit around the table and every day, you know, we'll eat at the same time. Nowadays, how rare is that? That the wife is cooking or the mother is cooking and the whole family comes together to eat. Is that a common thing nowadays in developed countries? People are eating their burgers and the sandwiches walking down the high street. It's not just even eating out, but it's not even like sitting and honoring the food. Yeah. And then you have all these, you know, bad habits like drinking and, you know, smoking, intoxication. I mean, we're so lucky, you know, Prabhupada saves us from all that, because it's just that's a regular thing. Like a society without intoxication is almost unthinkable for people who are not associated with the movement, you know. Intoxication is such a part of, you know, integral part of normal life for most people. So overeating, oversensitification, over dependence on another's mercy, Prema Manya explained it very nicely, you know. Yeah, we are depending on people who have no mercy. They are not kind to us. Social system, the health, the health system in national health, many places like in the US, so difficult even just to get treatment. People cannot afford it. People go bankrupt, go homeless, because they get sick and the government doesn't cover that. So and then we are in constant anxiety because, you know, like now with Corona, I mean, how many people are in so much anxiety, and no wonder why, because, you know, their lives is falling apart. And you tell me that the government is really trying to protect the citizens with this Corona? I mean, you gotta be blind to think that way, you know? You know, I was told in Switzerland to get the PCR test for coronavirus. I don't want to go into all these kind of polemic things, but just food for thought, okay? In Switzerland, to get the coronavirus test, it was like 300 euros. And in India, when we arrived here, it was 500 rupees upon arrival in the hospital, you know? So you tell me the government is really trying to make it easier for the people in Switzerland, charging 300 euros for the PCR test. In Spain, it was 100 euros, 99 euros. It's a business. Or artificial standards of living sap the very vitality of human energy. Therefore, the duration of life is shortened. Okay, clear. Manda, slow, lazy. The people in this age are also very lazy, not only materially, but in a matter of self-realization. You know, no interest. And Prabhupada, in another lecture, he says that this refers also like defective, that, you know, they are not capable of understanding principles. I mean, even simple things like, for example, you know, stop eating meat because it causes harm to other living entities and it's bad for your soul. Some people are blocked. You go to a place like Spain. I was born in Spain. People have so much trouble to accept this, you know, so much. That animals are persons and that we should treat them with kindness. Cannot understand it. It's just like, what? Foolish idea. They're meant for our enjoyment. Slow, dull-headed. You know, it means that, you know, what is wrong for you, you embrace it. And what is bad for you, what is bad for you, you embrace it. And what is good for you, you reject it. You know, you will put very, very hard rules for doing good things and very easy rules for doing bad things. Sumanda Mata, you're misguided. So how people are misguided? What examples are there? You call it people. If someone for some reason gets interested in a spiritual life, okay, first of all, Prabhupada says it's due to a bad system of education. That's the root, one of the root causes of the situation in modern society, that system of, you go through the system of education and it breeds faithlessness. It breeds, you know, if you come to the system of education in modern world and you come out like a complete materialist, it's all based on making money. They're not teaching you about developing good character. They're not teaching you about becoming a better human being. No. And then Prabhupada writes, many unscrupulous men manufacture their own faith which are not based on any revealed scriptures. And very often people who are addicted to sense gratification are attracted by such, oops, 1 second, are attracted by such institutions. Any examples of this? Anyone?
Like the bogus incarnation.
Say again?
Like the bogus incarnation, like Sai Baba.
Yeah. You go, I mean, and there are these pastors and so-called religious leaders in the, I mean, you can, if you go into, I do not recommend it, but I, you know, sometimes we come across these things in the US about these religious leaders. They have their private jets, they have so many houses, and they are, you know, taking money from people who are like poverty stricken. They sacrifice all their savings to provide for these religious leaders, you know, misguiding them. It's sad. Someone finally becomes interested in spiritual life, and there are so many of these bogus philosophies floating around. You end up with the wrong one. Even in the main stream religions, there are so many wrong, so many misconceptions, and people get carried away to do the wrong thing. Samuel.
Yes, Prabhu, you were asking, for example, I just wanted to mention when I was in university, there was a philosophy teacher who was known to be an alcoholic, smoking, and have illicit relationship with the girls in the class. And then he teaches about philosophy.
So many of these thinkers, they are chain smokers, they are alcoholics, you know. That's the nature of Kali Yuga. And those with a pure message, they're not so attractive, they're not so charismatic, they don't seem to attract. You know, in Kali Yuga, like the rogues and the criminals, they are becoming more and more powerful. But the main thing that takes place in Kali Yuga is the degradation of character. That's the main thing. All this culminates in a degradation of character. So therefore, the method to help the people must be very potent and very fast acting. And that's the question by the sages. Just like when there is an epidemic disease, you need something which is going to be very, very effective and very easy, and it's going to be good for everyone. And they basically just by a little contact with that, people are going to get cured. That's the question. So what is that? Bhakti. Devotional service. Out of which, of all the processes of devotional service, chanting the holy name is the most powerful. Okay, so we have unfortunate. Okay, so it's in one sense connected with misguided. It's connected with all of them. In this age, men are victims not only of different political creeds and parties, but also of many different types of sense gratificatory diversions, such as cinemas, sports, gambling, clubs, mundane libraries, bad association, smoking, drinking, cheating, pilfering, bickerings, and so on. And you see that, in this age, it's so common, like there is, the enemy is at home. Sometimes your parents are abusive. I mean, it's a common thing, relatively common thing nowadays, child abuse. Child abuse usually takes place by adults that are known to the children. It's not by strangers. Talking about depending on another's mercy. bickerings or criticism. It's like the atmosphere is surcharged with this, you know, like competitive mentality, trying to bring people down, criticizing, you know, trying to take advantage of people. You cannot really trust anyone. Everybody is trying to, you know, take advantage of each other, even within families. That's Kali Yuga. And as a result, they're always disturbed. And can you argue with this? Is it clear? I mean, for us, it's kind of obvious, you know, but I find sometimes that you present this to the people and people resist. And, well, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. But, you know, the people are disturbed. You know, the pharmaceutical industry in the US, for example, you know, this Prozac and these medicines to help. I mean, mental health is become one of the biggest problems in the whole world. Mental health. People are so disturbed. And not just like poor people, but very wealthy people. They have mental problems due to all this, Kali Yuga. And don't forget that includes us. We have to fight Kali by keeping ourselves very fixed up in the process of Krishna consciousness. And the moment we stop, then Kali comes and Kali enters into the movement. If we don't chant Hare Krishna, if we don't follow the instructions properly, then the same tendencies are also there. We become victimized by Kali Yuga. Okay. So Prabhupada writes, it has become very difficult, therefore, to raise the spiritual standard due to the presented distorted values of human society. Now, remember that when Prabhupada wrote this, okay, Prabhupada had not been to the West. Prabhupada was still in Delhi and Vrindavan. It was early 1960s, okay? He had not been. If you read these purports aloud, it's like mind-blowing how Prabhupada had such a clear understanding of the situation of the modern world. The sages of Naimisharanya are anxious to disentangle all fallen souls, and here they are seeking the remedy from Srila Sutta Goswami. Now, this is a very interesting commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. I'll read it. In Kali Yuga, the way he explains it is a sequence. Okay, you listen. It says, in Kali Yuga, people are generally short-lived. If they have long life by chance, then they're lazy to investigate the spiritual topics. Even if someone is not lazy, then he is unintelligent. Eh? And even if someone is intelligent, then he is unfortunate, for he is devoid of association with the bodies to teach the highest actions. But even if someone has the association of the bodies, he is afflicted. Under the control of affliction from sickness and other problems, he does not get the time to hear from the mouth of the devotee. Or even if he does hear, he cannot discern the highest goal for the human being and then carry out actions to attain it. Or the sequence of qualities can mean that all people have all the bad qualities. It's interesting, isn't it? The way he puts it. You know, it's like, okay, you're lazy. Well, even if you're not, when they're misguided, it's basically so hard to be able to, escape from the current situation. At the same time, we'll hear later on in the Bhagavatam how the demigods are placed in the age of Kali, because in the age of Kali, we can chant the holy name of the Lord. And despite the fact that it's an age which is full of faults, there is one special quality, and it's just by chanting the holy name, one can attain to the spiritual world. And chanting is very easy, very sublime, and very important. Okay, so now we're moving into the question by sages. Okay. Any questions on this so far? Okay, so we move ahead. Questions. So the first question is, what is the absolute and ultimate good for the people in general? We saw that one already. Second is text 11. What is the essence of all scriptures? Third is, for what purpose the Lord appeared in the womb of Devaki as the son of Vasudev? Text 12. Question 4, what are the Lord's incarnations in regard to the creation? Now, questions 4 and 5, they are interpreted differently according to Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. According to Jiva Goswami, these are what are the Lord's incarnations in regards to the creation. In accordance to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, is what are the Lord's, is talking about Krishna's pastimes, basically. Question 5, what are the Lord's different incarnations? These are according to Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yeah. Where religious principles have gone for shelter? Text question 6. Okay, so these are the 6 questions by the sages, and they were going to be answered in the following chapters. Okay, so text 11. Someone can read Burini Burikarmani Shotavyani Vivagasa Trasayo. Okay, you can read this, the translation. Someone can read it. Anyone?
Yeah. What is the essence of all scriptures? Krishna is proclaimed as the only true object of worship for all living beings, and to reestablish our lost connection with him is the central theme of all Vedic literature.
Yeah, I wanted to read the verse, so I'll read the verse myself. There are many varieties of scriptures, and in all of them, there are many prescribed duties, which can be learned only after many years of study in the various divisions. Therefore, O sage, please select the essence of all these scriptures and explain it for the good of all living beings, that by such instructions their hearts may be fully satisfied. So the point here is that, you know, there are so many scriptures, there's so many instructions, so many paths. So now we don't have time to go through all this. You know what, you are very learned in the scriptures. You have studied, you have learned. Please, you tell us what is the essence. What is the essence of all the books? It's like sometimes you go into, you know, like a library or and you know, it's kind of overwhelming how to, you know, how am I gonna, you know, you want to do some research, you know, about what is, you know, what is the essence of a particular book. So never mind all the Vedas, all the scriptures, the Vedas, the Puranas, the Mahabharata, the, you know, Itihasas, the Vedanta Sutra, and the, you know, so what is the essence? So the answer to this question is Krishna is proclaimed as the only true object of worship for all living beings, and to reestablish our lost connection with him is the central theme of all Vedic literature. Okay? So this will be answered throughout the second chapter, especially in verses 6 and 7 and text 28, 29. Actually, first question and second question, they are both answered in the same verses, 6 and 7. Is different question, but similar answer. Because one of them, what is the absolute good for all the people? Well, the absolute good of all the people is bhakti, is devotional service, is to develop a relationship with the Supreme Lord. And what is the essence of all the scriptures? One must engage in devotional service. Okay, we're following? Okay, so question number 3. We're gonna read the text. Text 12. Sutayanasi vadante bhagavan satpatam pati devakyam vasudevaya vasya jato yasya chikir shaya. All blessings upon you, O Sutta Goswami. You know for what purpose the personality of Godhead appeared in the womb of Devaki as the son of Vasudeva. Okay, so what is the question? Question number 3 is, why did Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appear as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva? Now, you see, when we take birth, we take birth by force, right? Why did you take birth? Did you choose where to take birth? Did you choose your father and mother? Did you choose the place? We took birth by force, right? Because of karma. That's the reason of our birth. But Krishna has no karma. Krishna is independent. He doesn't have to take birth in this world. So the question is, why did Krishna, who is free from birth and death, appear as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva? Is the question clear? Yeah. How are you doing? How is Jamastami doing? Are you still with us, Jamastami? Let's see. It's very late for him, so I have to keep track on him more than anybody else.
Still there, surviving. It's really difficult now. Last 10 minutes is really hard.
Okay, so you can stand up and just say, well, I don't know if you can shout there because probably you have neighbors there, eh? But we can all just give some energy to Prabhu by shouting really loud, Gauranga. You can unmute yourself, everybody can unmute yourselves and just shout like 1, 2, 3. Gauranga! Okay, we'll finish shortly. We don't have much more to go. Okay, we're just gonna cover the questions and that's it. We'll go into leave chapter 2 for tomorrow. Okay, time is running anyway. Okay, so the question is understood, right? Why did Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appear as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva? Okay. So the answer is given at the end of the 2nd chapter, to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. All right. Is the same questions are answered in different places. So can you tell me for what other reason why Krishna appeared? Anyone? You can unmute yourselves.
To re-establish the principles of religion, yada yada hi dharmasya.
Okay, to re-establish the principles of religion. Yeah. Anything else?
Reciprocate with the devotees.
Sorry?
To reciprocate with the devotees.
Reciprocate with the devotees. This is actually the actual reason, the most important of all. And he came to please the devotees. Nice. Okay, so here it is. Whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists, the Lord incarnates to protect the theists. Okay. Now, Prabhupada explains a little bit in the purport about, well, and this is actually in a class on verse number 3 about this Vasudeva platform. I'm sorry. 7. Okay. Because Vasudeva platform is the platform where the Lord appears, okay? And this is, we're talking about the mode of goodness on the previous week. It says, now pure goodness means one has to transcend even this material platform of goodness, because in the material platform of goodness, there is possibility of being contaminated by the other 2 qualities. That sattva, that existence of pure goodness is called Vasudeva. In that platform, you can understand Vasudeva. That means in that status of life, Vasudeva is born. Vasudeva is already there within your heart, but you simply realize it by placing yourself in the pure consciousness, pure platform. Okay, question number 4. Okay, what to do is we're going to read now the verses in between because I don't want to miss out any of the verses. So I know it's, we've been going for quite a while. it's just, we can like, this is the last print. Okay, so text number 13. Okay, I'll read. Tamna susru samananam arasi anganuvanitam nitum yasyavataru bhutanam shemaya cha babaya cha. O Sutta Goswami, we are eager to learn about the personality of Godhead and his incarnations. Please explain to us those teachings imparted by previous acharyas. Because one is uplifted both by speaking them and by hearing them. So this is the nature of these transcendental topics. Apanna samsriting goran jannama vivasogrinam tatasadyo vimuchita yad viveti swayam bhayam. Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is fear by fear personified. So these verses are kind of also like acting as a, inspiring. They are inspiring Sutta Goswami to speak, and they're expressing also the eagerness of the sages at Naimisharanya, because they're saying, just by when these transcendental topics are described, both the audience and the speaker, they're both uplifted. Everyone is uplifted. And the holy name of Krishna is so powerful that even fear personified is fearful of the holy name. And it refers to, we'll hear later on in the Bhagavatam with Ajamil, that even the Yamadutas could not come anywhere near of Ajamil, because they could come, but eventually they had to leave, because Ajamil had chanted in an indirect way, Narayana, Narayana. And then four Vishnudutas came, and then the Yamadutas, they had to leave. So this is the power. So if the holy name is so powerful, that shows the power of Krishna. And what is the entanglement of material existence is of Kali Yuga that we're discussing. Can be immediately, we can become freed from that entanglement by chanting the holy name of the Lord, which is fear by fear personified. Yatpadasam saryasuta munaya prasamanaya sadyat punantu pasprista swardunyapo nusevaya. O Sutta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the water of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use. Again, this is pressing the devotees, actually. In this case, the comparison is being made that even the Ganges is so purifying. Still, one can derive much greater benefit by hearing from the Vaishnavas, from the devotees. Text 16. Ko bhagavatastasya punya sloke karmana sudhikamona sinu yat yasakali malapaham. Who is there desiring deliverance from the vices of the age of Kali, who is not willing to hear about the virtuous glories of the Lord? So again, all these three verses that just like expressing the eagerness of the sages at Naimisharanya and inspiring Sutta Goswami to speak. They're very, very nice verses and purpose, but we're going to move forward. Text 17. Okay, so this is now question number 4. Okay. Tasya karma udharani parigitani suribhi bruhina shadadanana yas lilaya dadatakalam His transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great sages like Narada sing of them. Please, therefore, speak to us who are eager to hear about the adventures he performs in his various incarnations. Okay, question 4. So, according to Jiva Goswami, this refers, now the Lord has 2 different types of pastimes. One of them is in relationship with the creation of the material universe, performed by the Purusha avatars, Karanadaksha Vishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and Shiradaksha Vishnu. And this is going to be explained, at the beginning of chapter 3. And we're going to hear in the 2nd canto and the 3rd canto a lot about the creation, Srishti Tattva. And then, so according to Jiva Goswami, this is in relationship with the material world, okay? The creation of the material world. According to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, this verse refers to Krishna's pastimes, okay? Please tell us about Krishna's, about Krishna and his, about Krishna's pastimes as Krishna, okay? Which will be described in the 10th canto. Okay, so we move on. Text 18. Atakya hi harer dimam avatara kata shubha lilaja vidadat lila vidadata swairam iswarasyatma mayaya. O wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. So now this question refers to, please tell us about the different pastimes of the different incarnations of the Lord. And we're going to hear a lot about this in the 3rd canto, in the 3rd chapter. We're going to hear about 22 incarnations of the Lord. And then throughout the Srimad-Bhagavatam, up until the 9th canto, we're going to hear about so many different incarnations. Then the 10th canto breaks with Krishna's pastimes. Okay. So now I'm going to read the verses that come in between the last, this question and the last. I'm just going to read the verses. They're very beautiful verses, actually. This Vayantu Navitipyama Uttama Shloka Vikrame Yachrimbatam Rasa Gyanan Swadu Swadu Pade Pade. Whenever tired of hearing of the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers, those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationship with him, relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. So here the sages are, their qualification of the sages and the Mishananya is being expressed through these verses. Swadu, swadu, pade, pade. We're never tired. We're never satiated. We want to hear more. We're going to hear more. And this is the nature of spiritual life. And again, because we're going to be discussing this in the 2nd chapter anyway, more and more. But just to understand that this is the principle, that the nature of bhakti, the nature of transcendental topics about Krishna is such that the soul becomes satisfied, but it's never satiated. It's not like with material sensitification that it comes to an end. It comes to a point where you don't want any more, or you're not able to relish it anymore. Like a rose, you smell a rose and it's very nice, but if you smell it again and again, the fragrance disappears, fades away. Your senses are incapable of experiencing that fragrance again and again. But with Krishna consciousness, with the pleasure derived from hearing about Krishna, the pleasure derived from engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, is that it's ever increasing. And this is a nature in the spiritual world, that the attraction between Krishna and his devotees is never static. It's not that, it's always increasing. They see each other. When Radharani sees Krishna, she becomes so happy. And when someone is happy, becomes very beautiful. And then when Krishna sees that Radharani becomes so beautiful, he becomes more beautiful. And then when Radharani sees that Krishna is so beautiful, she becomes even happier and more beautiful. And then Krishna becomes, and it goes on, you know, ad infinitum. So the sages of Naimisharanya have reached a stage where they are relishing. And this is the invitation of the Srimad-Bhagavatam at the beginning. Pivata Bhagavatam rasam alayam. We were hearing from the commentaries by the acharyas that once you hear the Bhagavatam until one faints. And then when one comes back to consciousness, listen to it again until he faints again, you know, this pralaya, these ecstatic symptoms. So this, whenever time of hearing of the Supreme Lord, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Beautiful purpose. These verses are very attractive and the purpose are very nice. Okay, so I'm gonna go for the next verse. Kritavanki la karmani saharamena keshava atimartyani bhagavam guda kapata manusa. Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so must he perform many superhuman acts. Text 21. Kalim agatam agyaya chetresmin vaishnave vayam asina dirga satrena katayam sakshana hare. Knowing well that the age of Kali has already begun, we're assembled here, this holy place, to hear at great length the transcendental message of Godhead, and in this way perform sacrifice. I just read a little bit from the purport. It says that the sages at Naimisharanya began this process in a place meant specifically for the devotees of the Lord. They prepared themselves to hear the passions of the Lord over a period of 1,000 years. By the example of, can you imagine? We're here for 3 hours and we're struggling, right? 1,000 years. Well, I don't know where it's struggling. I'm not struggling. I'm liking it very much, but you know, it becomes difficult, right? After some time. Can you imagine 1,000 years? Okay. By the example of these sages, one should learn that regular hearing and recitation of the Bhagavatam is the only way for self-realization. Other attempts are simply a waste of time, for they do not give any tangible results. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached this system of Bhagavad Dharma, and he recommended that all those who were born in India should take the responsibility of broadcasting the messages of Lord Sri Krishna, primarily the message of Bhagavad Gita. And when one is well established in the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, he can take up the study of Srimad-Bhagavatam for further enlightenment in self-realization. So this is a best form of sacrifice, the topmost process for self-realization. And this is what is going to come in the Bhagavatam as we progress. Everything culminates that we must absorb ourselves in hearing about the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. That's the message of the Bhagavatam. That's the purpose of human life. That's the ultimate good for all people. That's what we preach. That's our message. That's our medicine. Like we're talking about, you know, the sages are asking what is the essence of all the scriptures. It's like, you know, sometimes you may, like the scriptures can be compared to like a pharmacy, like a big chemist, okay? And you go to the chemist, but, you know, and you have a specific disease, but then you don't know what to take from the chemist unless the, you know, the doctor is there or the pharmacist is there. And then he can actually select what is the specific medicine for the disease. So Sutta Goswami is like that. It's like the doctor in the pharmacy. You know, the scriptures are there, but we want specific medicine who is gonna be able to counteract the problem that we're facing. This is the actual pandemic, Kali Yuga. How are we going to counteract this? How are we going to become free from the influence of Kali Yuga? It's by hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam, by chanting the holy names. That's why no matter how busy we are in our lives, we have to mold our lives in such a way that we are able to hear and chant daily for a few hours. Otherwise, we will be carried away by the influence of Kali Yuga. Okay, text 22. We think we have met your goodness. Very beautiful verse. Tvanna sandarsito datra dushtaram nistitir kalin satvaharam pumsam karnadara ivarnavam. We think that we have made your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as the captain of the ship for those who desire to cross over the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. Kalim Sattva Haram Pumsam. So we're talking about the Kali Yuga. What is the main problem in Kali Yuga? That's the main problem, that it deteriorates the qualities of the human being. That's the main problem. It's a degradation of character. And we're seeing this. Other points, you may argue, they may argue, but there is a degradation of character. I think that's kind of hard to argue against it. And violence, drug abuse, domestic violence, crime, these things are on increase. I mean, it's statistically. Mental health issues like suicide, divorce, it's a very serious situation. And now, like but Prema Manjari was mentioning, like with coronavirus, it's become so obvious, right? I think many people are coming to understand that situation is not nice in this age, and there is a lot of problems in society that we were not even aware of, you know, and the solutions are a lot of the time worse than the problems themselves. So this should be an impetus for us to take up Krishna consciousness and to preach more vigorously, you know. Okay, so we come to the last verse, and then we finish here. And that's the question, the last question. So the last question is Bruhi Yogesware Krishna Brahmanye Dharma Varmani Swankastam Adunopete Dharmakam Sharanam Gata. Since Krishna, the absolute truth, has departed, the master of all mystic powers has departed for his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. So Krishna has gone, and with him, he's taken religion, you know, he's taking, you know, everything with him, all his associates. Now, what's going to happen to religious principles? So what is the answer to this question? Can someone give me the verse in Sanskrit for the answer to this?
I don't know the full verse, Prabhu, but is that 1:343 Krishna Swadhama Pagto? I don't know the full verse, but
the translation?
That now, you know, after, I mean, I'll just paraphrase that when after Krishna left the planet, all the principles, you know, the Srimad-Bhagavatam is the personal incarnation, is the literary incarnation of Krishna, and all the religious principles are taking shelter in Srimad-Bhagavatam.
Okay, nice, good enough. Someone knows the Sanskrit? Krishna Swadhamapagate.
Dharma Jnanadi Bhi Saha kalau nashta drishamesha puranarko dunodita.
This Srimad-Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun, Puranarko. And it has a reason just after the departure to Lord Sri Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness in the age of Kali shall get light from this Bhagavad Purana. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this chapter 1. So this is a little kind of summary of the question from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay, we've gone through it already. I just selected a summary. And we'll finish with this quote from Prabhupada. Devotees and saintly persons in the renounced order can deliver even the Ganges. Tirthi kurvanti tirtani santastena gadabhita. Because saintly devotees always keep the Lord within the core of their hearts, they can perfectly cleanse the holy places of all sinful reactions. That's the power of the Vaishnavas. People go to the Ganges to become cleansed, but when the saintly devotees go to the Ganges, they take away the sinful, they purify the Ganges, they cleanse all the sinful reactions that the sinful people live in the Ganges. Okay, so thank you very much for your kind attention. We'll continue tomorrow, Sunday, with chapter 2. It's a very, very important chapter. So please, I strongly recommend and ask that you please read tomorrow. Read at least until text 22. Read at least the verses and translations, and then let's see how far we get. It's a beautiful chapter summarizing the whole process of Bhakti. Chatura, you have a question there or something?
Yeah, but boy, I have some questions regarding to the chapter.
Okay.
Yeah, in the verse 15, that means the Ganga, we can use the water, but for long time. So how long do we use Ganges water so that we can be purified?
Well, it depends. It depends on the disease. I mean, how materially sick are you, Chatura? Let's give you a prescription. You're gonna have to bathe for 30 days, a month, you know, for the next 10 years, and then, you know, I think you will become cleansed of sinful reactions. How does it sound?
Okay. Yeah, and another
I'm joking.
question.
I'm joking only.
Yeah.
The point is that the sages are emphasizing that the importance and the potency of the message of the Bhagavatam, particularly because when we as, I mean, the verse is focusing on the devotees, of course, but why the devotees are so important? Because the devotees carry the Lord in their hearts. And because they carry the Lord in their hearts, when they speak, all they speak about is about Krishna. And when we hear about Krishna, the message is so purifying that we become cleansed immediately. Even without hearing from them, actually, just by coming in touch with them, by seeing them. While the water of the Ganges, you have to bathe there regularly. But I don't think that we need to just kind of calculate, okay, so I need to bathe like 10 times. 10 times bathing in the Ganges equals to 5 minutes with the devotee. It's not like that. I don't think we can, you know, it's just whenever the opportunity to bathe in the Ganges is, just take it. We're fortunate here because we are near, you know, living 5 minutes away from the Ganges, less than a round away. And we take advantage as much as we can. And then when we're not bathing in the Ganges, we read Bhagavatam and we look for the association of the bodies. Yeah.
Yeah, another question is in this verse also there is 17, verse 17, there's Sanskrit names for devotees, Sat Savata. So there is still another Sanskrit names. For example, Mahatma is the same meaning.
Actually, I remember with this, there is one of the commentaries explains that there is some kind of poetic license, the way the word is used. It's not like a correct. The Sanskrit is some kind of rule is broken there, and they're referred to as Sattvatam. Which verse? Which number verse is this again?
17.
No, it's not 17. Is it? No, not 17. Sattvatam you're talking, right? Sattvatam Pati.
Yeah.
That's not 17. That's 16 maybe. Let's see.
Oh, yes.
I cannot find the verse. It's not 17 though.
Oh, sorry. And also in the
is 20,
yeah, in the last paragraph of 17 verse 17, last paragraph, it is said incarnation like Brahma, Rudra, Manu, Prithu, and Vyasa are his material qualitative incarnation. So how to understand this material qualitative incarnation?
Yeah, these
You
are
see this,
yeah, they are Sakti-avesh. They are empowered incarnations by the Lord. So this topic is actually, we will be discussing in chapter 3, but it's kind of very technical in the sense that the Lord manifests his potency, his vibhutis in different ways. So, and there are different names and terms for each type of manifestation. So Lord Brahma, Rudra, like they're guna avatars, okay? The Manu is mentioned, Prithu, Vyas, they are Sakti-avesh, they are empowered incarnations, okay? So these are a specific type of incarnation, Sakti-avesh, empowered. It means that oftentimes it's a living entity who has been empowered by the Lord to execute a specific function. It's not the Lord himself, but it's a specific living entity empowered by the Lord. And when that empowered living entity acts as the Lord. And then you have like his incarnations, like direct incarnations, like he himself, like Ram, Narasimha, Varaha, Vamana is himself, but he's only manifesting he's not manifesting his full potency. Okay? Charulata.
Yeah, but
okay.
one more doubt.
Yeah.
Since that Vyasadeva is also this kind of incarnation, but he wrote these scriptures, and that means does he have some material qualities? Because this.
You see, Vyas is a post, okay? Vyas is a post. Vyas means editor. And this post is taken in different ages, each time is taken by a different living entity. Okay? So it has material qualities. Like the next Vyas will be Ashvatthama. The previous Vyas was Parashara Muni. Now it's Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas. But Vyas is a title. It's like Brahma is a post. And different living entities take that post.
Okay, thank you.
Charulata.
All right, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'll probably carry on now.
Yeah, please. Go. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Charulata Radhika.
Yes, just a quick question, Prabhuji. I just wanted to know what all do we need to read for tomorrow's session?
I just mentioned chapter 2 up until text 22. And tomorrow I will give you also the closed book test I will give it to Aniruddha. Aniruddha will post it on the WhatsApp group or whatever. Okay. So you know what is the open book assessment for this unit. I will give you one question. The
Sure.
essay to be written.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
So thank you very much, everyone, for your kind attendance. And Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Grantara Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow. Krishna willing. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandat Pranam.
Dhanyavad.